Now let me go to what are the global challenges for Global Project Management Office. The global project challenges can be obvious or perhaps not so obvious. Either way, there will rarely be a single approach that best suits any challenge on global projects. With this in mind, being well informed is a responsibility for any prudent manager in today's global business environment. The connection between strategy and reality is actually a project. Therefore, in order to connect global strategies with success, it is important to be able to successfully deploy projects on global scale. Global organizational strategy is often focused on leveraging multiple locations in order to achieve or drive business performance and growth. Global organizations with links in many different locations are required to understand culture, comply with local rules and regulation, and at times international standards, and many times we need to do the PEST, the political, economical, social and technological analysis. As they drive the global projects, there are a lot of other challenges related to financial and political issues like currency fluctuations or political issues, which is like, for example, happening in Egypt. I may not be able to cover these two issues in this presentation, but they are equally important for the success of global projects. Now, the challenge number one, which is witnessed in almost all the projects, is logistic. The application of global discipline is essential as the geographically separation of global projects acts to magnify challenges found on any project. The important element is how good your PEST is. Okay. The challenge number one, which talks about logistic, geography, time zone, and different jurisdictions. Logistics are made more complex by differences in geography, time zone, and jurisdictions. There, we need to understand which project structure to follow. Are we going to structure our project based on geographical, organizational, political, or functional definitions? Or looking at the team selection, what resources are required? Are the roles and responsibilities of these resources competent for this project? Where can we source people? And ultimately, do you select them based upon capability or availability? Then we look at the various time zones. How will you communicate across different time zones? Direct consequences of time zones effect include teleconferences at awkward times to accommodate member of global team, miscommunication, and increased time required to conclude on a communication or on an issue. Then travel and accommodation also becomes a biggest challenge because there is no substitute for face-to-face meetings, particularly for senior stakeholders and cross-functional teams. When travel is required, objective of the face-to-face meeting should be clearly established to ensure meeting outcomes are maximized. Then we need to understand jurisdictions. Within a country or within a state or a province or a city, you will come across a second set of rules, second set of law. You will find national or religious holidays within different religious holidays, and you will find different hours of operations. This difference has a serious impact on global projects. Simple things like local holidays, religious periods, and hour of operations can be easily overlooked, but they have a profound impact on global projects. Challenge number two is culture and language. Culture is often the single reason for global project difficulties. It is a reason requiring minimal explanation or justification, and typically translates into, that's the way we do it here. The meeting of different cultures. Cultural diversity within a team can bring fresh perspectives or innovative solutions. However, cultural diversity can also bring a heightened sensitivity to minor infractions and perceived insults. Governance. Project governance structures can often indicate how culturally aware an organization is. For example, regional heads of the business can be appointed from the home country or sourced locally, but the strength or weakness of either approach is surprisingly difficult to ascertain. Value conflicts. Project staff may be intellectually aware of cultural differences. Example, people-centric versus result-centric. Small differences of interpretation can trigger antipathy or hostile feeling. Language barriers. The most basic type of language barriers is when different languages are used by different teams due to multiple geographical locations. When this occurs, it is useful to select a common project language and common naming conventions to ensure that everyone speaks the same project language. Challenge number 3, stakeholders engagement. Stakeholders are any person or organization with an interest in the progress or outcome of the global project, either because they are part of it or affected by the deliverables. The challenges of stakeholder engagement are by no means unique to global projects, but when looked through cultural barriers and geographical distances, they become acutely more complex. Initial kickoff meetings. Getting things right at the start is critical. A face-to-face kickoff with all the key stakeholders is essential to ensure everyone is aligned and hears the same story and is given the same starting point. The manner in which a new global project is communicated to all the stakeholders is critical to ensure stakeholder involvement and commitment. Maintaining momentum. The duration of any global projects can be years. Building and maintaining momentum in a multi-year or a multi-region project is always a significant challenge. Otherwise, the project loses its momentum. Supporting business as usual. When different locations are involved with global projects, consideration should be given to available resources in individual locations. Frequently, the number of resources in a particular location reflects the business as usual requirement. It does not take into consideration the level of global project activity. Rigorous stakeholder analysis. It is important to be aware of who the stakeholders are. Each time there is a stakeholder chain, there is a potential impact, and this must be communicated to everyone through a prescribed communication plan. Challenge number 4, the solution design. The end product of many global projects is often a defined combination of process and technology termed as solution. Agreeing on what the solution is should be the focus of virtually all involved parties. That includes architecture. What is the architecture of the solution? What is the level of process clarity that is given to the stakeholders? And it also brings accountability for processes. Core or mandatory rules, it should be clearly identified or it should be distinguished that which are the core and mandatory elements which can be modified or can be kept as an optional. Beyond implementation, things which are generally neglected, which includes item associated with the project but does not considered as deliverable for the project, which includes business as usual support and ongoing enhancements. Example can be documentation, support warranties, or after sales support, after delivery support, like that. Challenge number 5 is sourcing. Sourcing is a typical issue in today's globalized business environment. Many global organizations are involved with sourcing at one level or another. Organizations, large and small, are taking advantage of sourcing in order to gain strategic advantages, cost savings, and process improvements. In this, we have multi-vendor coordination. Typically, large multinational contracts involves multiple vendors across geographies. In situations where teams across vendor need to work together to implement large-scale scope, the absence of clearly demarcated roles and responsibilities can result in missed deadlines. This challenge can also be relevant where the capability may differ for the same vendor in different countries. Delivery practices. Sourcing relationship involving large corporations and service providers faces issues relating to difference in delivery models like payment on delivery or post-delivery and all those things. It can hold up project for a long time if these issues are not resolved on time. Having seen the challenges